So it is the minutes, the next item is to approve the minutes of 4 different meetings. Can I do this as one approval, or do I need to do each?
Yes, so long as there's no
There's no
edits or
objections.
amendments to each
Has
one.
everybody had a chance to review the minutes?
Yes.
Can I have a motion to approve?
Let me say, I cannot vote for the February 19th. I think you have to break them out because I was not present for that, so I can't do the approval. So I think you may have to break them out.
So February 19th is the one?
Yeah, February 19th, I was absent.
Okay. May I have a motion to approve the minutes from January 22nd, January 28th, and March 19th?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from January 22nd, 28th, and March 19th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of February 19th?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for February 19th, 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. We have some administrative matters. The zoning board rules of procedure, possible review. Are we tabling that, or are we?
Ultimately, we can table it, but just so that everyone's aware of what staff is looking to accomplish. So several new members have joined the board within the last year, and I think it might be important to just revisit some of these rules of procedure. So before you is the most recently adopted version, and it includes some revisions that staff has noted and read that we think could potentially clarify some procedures and improve consistency, but overall address issues that we've been experiencing when putting together packet materials and applications. So with that, please review at your leisure. You can send feedback to myself, and we can integrate, whatever suggestions that you all may have and present a final draft to you either, I think June would be a good time. But we'll consult with legal and get you more than one draft to look at. So we can take that.
Okay,
Thank you.
Yep.
thank you. So now we all have that. We all have the rules that everybody could review and be ready for the June meeting to discuss those. Thank you. The first item, we have an appeal. That we're going to do all the continuances first?
Yes, again,
Okay.
Madam Vice, would you like to do all the continuances first in case
Sure.
there's someone here?
Is the appeal is being continued as well, I believe?
Yes, the appeal has
Okay.
been continued, and the appellants and both parties have agreed to July 23rd, I believe, 2026.
Okay, so may I have a motion to continue the Teverow appeal?
So
Ms.
moved.
Gordon, let me just confirm that, I want to make sure, Ms. Heidi, you know already, is it the July 23rd meeting?
I believe it was the
That's-
21st, I don't have a
Okay,
calendar.
no worries, let me just look real quick so we don't actually continue to the wrong day. It is July 23rd, thank you.
Thank you.
Can I get a motion to continue this item to July 23rd?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And Gibson Court is on, is that correct? Okay. A couple of more items that we have to continue. One is Nero. That is going to be continued to June 17th. Can I have a motion to that effect, please?
I'll make a motion to move Nero, Plat NR Lot 283, D Onondaga Road, to a meeting of June 17th, 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. And last item that is going to be continued, Terrick, Plat R2 Lot 318. Can I have a motion to continue that matter to May 21st, please?
I'll make a motion to move the Terrick hearing to May 21st, 2026.
Was it 21st up there? 21st?
21st.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all. Have a good
Opposed?
night.
So anybody else who might have been here for the Tevro appeal, Nero or Tarek, those items have been continued. Yes.
Tarek, why is it being delayed?
It's a request of the applicant.
He's asked for it to be delayed? Does he say why?
No.
So, will there be another letter sent down for that meeting, or?
No, it's been continued to a date certain, meaning it's, we know what date it's going to be, May 21st.
May 21st?
Yes, sir.
May 21st.
Thank you.
Madam Vice Chair, can we take a break for a moment?
Sure.
Okay,
I'm going to take a 5-minute break.
please. Okay.
So the next item on the agenda is Gibson Court Condominium Association.
Okay, and I will recuse, I am in a butter.
Do we have recusal forms?
Yes.
Thank you.
Right.
Did I already sign one?
I think you did recuse on the last time Gibson Court was here, but
So do I need to do another one?
probably.
I'll hold it up.
Okay.
Thank you. So Karen is going to recuse.
You want me to go to the back of the room?
If you don't mind.
All righty.
Okay,
Good evening.
good evening.
So my name is Karen Oliveira. I'm the president of the Gibson Court Condo Association. So initially, I had appeared before the planning board to ask for a modification or an amendment, a special condition that had been issued back in 1987 regarding a gate at the end of our property that's bordering Prospect Court, which is a public way. It's a public street, it's not a private street. Our complex has private streets within the context of it. At the hearing of the planning board, we presented photographs of this exit. So initially, well, if you go back to the first one, that was the original gate. So it was a wooden gate right here. It was never locked. I've owned for 15 years. It always had like a latch. It never had a lock on it. So we had an improvement project because we always had a gravel driveway. So we decided to install an asphalt driveway instead. The fence all along the perimeter was decrepit and really awful condition. So we decided to remove the fence. At the same time, when we did the project, I had sent one of our board members, Christopher Canton, over to the building inspector's office, and I said, find out if there's any issue with us removing that fence. So that fence that's here is that's South Pier in back of the fence. It's Prospect Court and back of the fence. It's South Pier. The front of our entrance is on Gibson Court, just to give you some perspective. So, and that fence that was there went along the edge of our property to South Pier Road, but it was in really bad condition. We felt that by removing the fence along the perimeter, we could do plantings and it just improved the overall look, and it blended in much better with the neighbors. In other words, a lot of the neighbors' property had some plantings, but we planted a lot of plantings along this edge. Where it came to the gate was in as bad condition. And over the years, if you go to the second picture, in the wintertime, the highway department, and I'm not criticizing the highway department, but how they would clear Prospect Court is they would take all of the snow and just pile it up against the gate. So some winters, it was more than 5 feet tall, and it stayed there all winter, it froze. So that prevented any kind of exit. Because the whole idea with Gibson Court, when you come into Gibson Avenue, it's all cul-de-sacs. It only has that one entrance on Gibson. So if somebody comes in, like a fire truck or a rescue truck had to come in, this exit to Prospect gave them a quicker way to get somebody in an emergency situation out to the road, rather than have to go back all the way up to the front. There's a map, a plat map, that's in the paperwork that I submitted. So what we have is the wintertime, they plow against it. In the fall, and we would have leaves sometimes 4 feet high. You know, it was always obstructed, so that gate, even though the gate was there, it was almost as though it was a permanent structure, and there was never any access. So, and we have if you can see on the right-hand side, there's like a concrete sidewalk around the perimeter. There's a drain pipe right there. We have an easement that the town gave us for drainage. That drainage goes out to South Pier, just for groundwater. So when we did that, it was clearly an improvement because we went from gravel driveway to asphalt, and we installed this porous asphalt that came out really nicely. When the fence got taken down, everything looked beautiful. We had sent the board member over, and the board member said, no, the town has no problem with us doing this. So we did it, including removing the gate. So we're not asking for permission after we did something wrong, but basically it's clear. So this is a picture from Prospect looking into Gibson Court. We did install 2 signs that said there's no, you can't go in, it's a private area, there's no entrance to the public, so that no one can go in. We sent, emails and letters to the unit owners reinforcing.
To the what?
Emails,
unit owners.
emails and letters to unit owners, telling them they could not use at all this entrance to go back and forth. They have to use Gibson Court, and everyone, to my knowledge, uses the Gibson Court entrance, which is the front entrance is a sign that says, Gibson Court Condo Association or whatever. It's a fairly quiet place. Not everyone's a permanent resident. We do have a lot of elderly residents. One in particular who is in Manor House, which is to the right of this entrance, where it's almost on a monthly basis, once or twice a month, the rescue or the fire department is called, and they're there. So the way the original, so what happened was, one of the neighbors who was aware of, and I quite frankly was unaware of that condition, and that's when I sent him to town hall to say like, hey, find out if there's an issue. One of the neighbors complained, said, no, we're violating the condition, we shouldn't have removed the gate. I had no idea. I came to municipal court, then that went from there to the planning board to request an amendment of the special condition to just allow the gate to be removed. Because as one of the planning board members said, he's like, I can't even understand how a gate would allow an emergency vehicle to come in and out, especially a locked gate. It didn't make any sense to him. So that being said, this is the condition it's in today. So I will say that on Prospect Court, it is a small street. There's neighbors. There's one neighbor that sent an email to the board today. I will say that for years, probably because of the existence of that gate from 1987 to 2022 when we took it down, it was like it was like we never even had, that we didn't exist. But I think the climate in 1987 regarding condos and the climate today is totally different. It was like a foreign thing. I think we have a lot of landscaping at Gibson Court. It's a gigantic piece of real estate. It's probably one of the largest parcels in all of the pier, like almost 5 acres. And it's just a beautiful place, and it's quiet. And again, we don't have a lot of full-time residents, but we do have some. And everyone kind of tries to get along with all neighbors and not, make any waves. So we did that, and I thought the planning board, then I had to file what we filed to get before the zoning board, to ask the zoning board to amend the original, so that the whole purpose of them asking the zoning board to amend the original condition, which requires the gate. And again, I reinforce it, it actually says a locked gate under the control of the Narragansett Fire Department. So think of it this way, the old gate that we had, if it were locked with a key and the fire department is there and this building's burning, how do they, how do as many emergency vehicles get in and out of Gibson Court without access there? And I can't even imagine. So I don't know, I wasn't around in 1987 when they did this, but I certainly, I talked to the board, everyone really is in favor of not having the gate. We think it looks beautiful. We don't try to tread on anyone that lives on Prospect Court, and that's really not the point. And to me, I understand that the people who live on Prospect Court, have always kind of used the gate as kind of like a fence. They've never really, it's never been opened. But I think with the project that we had with the asphalt, and the asphalt comes out a little bit onto, we made sure that it came out onto Prospect and it's kind of feathered into the asphalt to Prospect Court. It looks really beautiful. We think it does, and we think it's a great improvement to the area, to the community. But that's why I'm here today. So I do understand that we have the one neighbor who voiced an objection, and for the record, I did read it, the clerk sent it to me this afternoon. But just to give you an example, even without the gate, the storm that we had in February, the highway department plowed more than 5 feet of snow. So picture that we had gigantic snowbanks at the end of that street. So if there was a fire or an emergency, the emergency vehicles couldn't have gotten out of it even if there wasn't a gate. Was or wasn't a gate. And I just think that's a historical thing that's happened over the years, because when I talked to the building inspector, he had said to me, like, he wanted to talk to, like, you know, the fire department, the highway department, and find out. And I said, I can attest to it, I've seen it, you know, I've seen them plow up against it. And I don't know any other way to prevent that, because to me, just the action of having, like, either debris, we even had some neighbors put pallets against the gate, like, they use it as a fence. And it's as crazy as that is, but like in the fall, we open the gate and there'd be like 4 feet of leaves. We'd have to have our landscaper clean that whole area, Prospect Court, because none of the neighbors, it's like they treated it like a fence, so I don't, and I'm not criticizing the neighbors, I'm just trying to find a way that we can have a harmonious relationship with our neighbors and have an exit that really serves as an emergency exit. With that gate that you saw a few pictures ago, it never served that purpose at all. And I, you know, I don't know, you know, so that's really what I'm asking the zoning board to do. And that, this is after, you know, this has been going on for months, it's been going on, I think, since last May or last June. So I don't know if you have any other questions, but, and I don't know if these pictures that I submitted, you know, really depict the situation, but I don't know if you put, especially a locked gate, because think of it, there's a lock on it, who has the key? So if an emergency, fire department comes, like somebody's having a heart attack, they're in an ambulance, they need to get out, or let's say somebody, because we have a pretty small entrance at the beginning, it kind of goes this way and comes around and goes out the other way. It's not a, the roadways were not large when they developed that development. They are kind of narrow, but we believe that it serves a better purpose not to have a gate and just to have signage that says you cannot use this to go in and out. It's only for emergency vehicles only. And we reiterated that to our unit owners. But I think back in 1987, when there might have been some opposition, the fence was never part of it. It was always just a gate, as far as I could read in the original. I think it was hold on. It was an original, I think, special use permit that had a condition in it. But that's where we stand. And I think we're not trying to infringe on the people who live on Prospect Court, but our property is private property, that street is a public way that the town services and whoever lives on that street services. And we have, you know, we've done our best. We think these are some of the plants that we planted where the fence was, all along where the fence was, and it looks really, I think it looks beautiful. I mean, I think it looks a lot nicer than that old fence. And plus, the cost was prohibitive to replace the fence that we saw no purpose to have it other than to spend money on plants that would make it, you know, look more beautiful. But this, well, as you see it, is the issue. This is why we're here today. So, I don't know if you have any questions.
I have a question. The signs for emergency vehicles, is it on both sides, the condo side?
It's only on one. So one of the planning board members is like, look, I think we should have signage on both ways.
Yeah.
That way the people who are in Gibson Court know they can't, and people that are on Prospect Court know they can't go in as well. So we're in agreement to anything the town wants us to do, honestly. We're very open. We want to be a good neighbor to everybody. We try to be. There's a lot of old trees and stuff there. We try to do the best we can, but to make the place, and I think to improve it and look beautiful and be harmonious with the community, that's really what we're trying to do.
When I drove into it tonight, I just read private property. I didn't get no one could use it. I didn't get that emergency access only. Was that the down? I know one sign is down. Did the other sign have that?
I didn't see it down. I didn't even go there. I was there today, but I didn't even look at it. So I think I don't remember what it says, but it kind of says you can't. It's private property. Stay away. You can't drive.
It doesn't say emergency access from
It
what
does
I
not.
remember.
It
yeah.
does not. But the
I would think that'd be more powerful.
The
There's a
planning
better
board,
way.
the planning board recommended, in fact, I'll read you what they recommended.
But I guess if they never had a problem with the gate, and it was part of the original document, how you got the approval, and you're like, we didn't even lock it, it was never an issue.
It was never locked, yeah, it was never
So-
locked. Like,
Why, why now? If it's never, hasn't been an issue since '87, why now?
So, number one, when we did the improvement project, we had to, we removed all the fence, that would have left the gate, so we decided, that's when we sent, before we did anything, we sent the board member to town hall and said the gate, we were unaware of the special condition, we were unaware, the board was.
No, I get that part,
So-
but again, but why now? So why not just put the gate back up? Why, like,
So, the gate is in the trash, it's gone.
well, just put a gate
A
up.
new gate- a new
We can put
gate.
a gate up, we can put, if you want us to put a gate up, we'll put a gate up. The problem is.
Along those lines, like, if nobody goes in and out of this, except for emergency vehicles, why do you want it open? Purely aesthetics?
No, well,
Or,
because I believe that having a gate inhibits the traverse of emergency, absolutely inhibits it. Wintertime, I can bring in people, like the gentleman who lives here on the end is the guy that I sent to the town, and he went out to take a picture. I said, give me a picture so I could show the zoning board. And our landscapers had just plowed out, he said it was incredible, it was like a snow mound at the end. So what happens is if you have a gate, and what happened was, there was no gate and they still plowed. There was a habit of the town, when they plow, they would plow like right against the gate.
Well, there's
So-
really no
Well,
place to put
wait.
the snow, you can't pull it backwards,
Well, the-
otherwise you're on South Pier.
Well,
Like, I think in both cases, a gate or no gate, the snow's gonna naturally go in that position.
so what we
But
did
this
was we
guy
had
here-
our
I can only
landscaper,
take one person, I can only take one person.
he put the snow to the left
To
and
the-
to the right, so the snow to the left, he went in and cleared it so that we made sure it was clear to have access. So I guess the point is, when there was a gate, there was never, and I highlight the wintertime with the snow and the fall with the leaves. There was never a time in those two seasons that gate was clear. If you opened the gate, it wasn't clear. Like in the wintertime when there's snow, it's never clear. You could have that gate open, and there was snow plowed against it. And it prevented us also from clearing. So when our landscaper comes in, it's easier to be able to put the snow on the sides if there's no gate there, from what they tell me.
You're a landscaper,
Yeah.
not the town. Okay.
Well, now, and the town, I think, just as a force of habit, comes up, prospect, and just always plowed it against the gate, and then when that had that gigantic storm, they plowed it against here. There are areas here and here where there's, I think that's a neighbor's driveway, so he couldn't have put it there. He could have put it here, because this is like a land of this neighbor. I don't know the name of that neighbor, but, or other places. Like, I know it's a very short street, but it's a unique situation where when they built the development, they had to have this second
Thank you.
way that emergency vehicles could get in and out, because if you encompass 5 acres in this, like, this road that comes around, and let's say that gets blocked, how do they get in and out? Like I said, there's a fire. When there's a fire, we've never had a fire, thank God, but there's always gonna be more than one fire truck, and fire trucks are gigantic. So, I think initially, the way the conditions are written, it's unrealistic because it says lock gate, and how do you unlock it? Like, if that was the case and somebody came in and said, we really have to get out, how do you unlock the gate? And it's, from my knowledge, when the gate was there, it was never locked, it was just a latch.
I would think you could accomplish the same thing by a bar, not necessarily a gate, a full gate, but in our company, in the back of our company, to gain access to the trucks, there's a bar that just simply swings open, and there's a latch right there, not locked, but a latch. So the person, if it was a regular resident, to get out of your car, move the bar, get back in your car, it's kind of cumbersome. You wouldn't even attempt that. But an emergency vehicle without a lock, just simply the latch and the bar, they could easily gain access.
So somebody went and actually looked at it?
I went by,
Yeah.
I was,
You did,
I drove
okay,
in.
you
I
did
did
too.
too.
Right.
Can I add something, Vice Chair?
Yes.
I brought this to the attention of the applicant months ago, we spoke earlier this evening. One concern that I have, and it's a jurisdictional concern, is that, and I'll back up just so we're on the same sheet of music. In 1987 or so, a special use permit was granted with a condition relating to this fence. What's before you this evening is a motion to amend that special use permit. I am unaware of any authority, whether it be by state law or ordinance, under which you can amend a prior special use permit. Does it make sense what the applicant's trying to do? Absolutely. I just can't tell you you have the authority to do that. And even going forward there,
Well, that's the problem.
what standard would you apply? That I don't know.
Okay.
So those were concerns of mine that I certainly wanted to bring to the board's attention.
And I was actually just thinking, I mean, you're saying that nobody uses this, there's no use, nobody comes in and out, nobody does anything. I would like to hear from even the town as to whether or not that is actually, actually used for anything. It's hard to make a decision when I'm just relying, on one bit of testimony. I mean, if residents from, what street is it?
Prospect Court.
Prospect Court, said, yeah, we never see anybody going in there. I mean, there's one person who does say that people go in and out that way.
That was my recommendation.
The email that we got today. So I would hope that there is some additional way for the condominium association to maybe not necessarily have a gate, but have something there that does prevent the access to, to the as it's supposed to. Your residents are not supposed to go in and out.
Right, and so I just read her email, she's alleging like rubbish trucks, and our rubbish trucks go through Gibson Court, and I've been there when they picked up, they don't.
That's why
my Prospect
you
Court.
get conflicting,
Yeah.
thoughts. Well,
So if that's the issue, and we have to apply for it, I can go back to the board, and discuss it with them, or I even suggested that this gentleman, Mr. Ball suggested this like metal swing gate, that's what I said. I mean, if we have to do a gate, we'll do something like that, that is still, in conformance with like the like, how can I say this? The landscaping and the environment there, it's not like this big gigantic gate that people are gonna lean their pallets and junk against, That's kind of what it became over the years from the people who lived on Prospect Court. It would be a fence to them. It's like any fence that you have, where there's a neighbor on one side and you're on the other side, so one neighbor can take perfectly great care of the landscaping, on the other side, it's like, oh my God, But that's kind of what it was like over the years. But that makes sense, but I don't, we still don't get past the fact that it says locked, which I really vehemently disagree that it should be locked. Like, we can't have it locked, because,
okay. So procedurally,
Procedurally, I
Not
will,
sure.
I kind of asked the applicant, would you prefer that the board make a decision and deny you, and you may face a year having to wait before reapplying? Or would you rather withdraw your application and you could apply new? Or I may suggest, do you want to ask for a continuance so you can talk to your own board and make a decision what you want to do?
yeah, so the process, I don't know how long it takes to apply for, I think applying for a new special use permit to maybe replace.
It'd be similar to what you've already gone through. You would apply, you would go to planning, you would go to zoning. But if you're denied before a zoning board and you reapply and there isn't a substantial change of circumstance, you have to wait a year before you reapply.
So I think I'd rather do a continuance and talk to
I
the
think that
board
makes
about it
sense.
and have a discussion with them, because, put it this way, if they decide, hey, it's just better to just do a gate, the people who live there may not like the way it looks, but it's like, I think that's the lesser of all evils, is just to put a gate and not lock it, like make sure it's just a latch. And I think this gentleman was right, like if there's a latch on it, people are less likely to just use it willy-nilly.
So what would you want for a date? June,
Either June, the June date.
the date, sir, what? June 17th is the date we used earlier.
Yes.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to continue this hearing, this appeal hearing, until June 17th, date, June 17th.
Thank you. And at least you have a good idea where I'm coming from. Thank you very much, appreciate it.
Okay,
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Doesn't necessarily have to be.
All right, so, the next item on the agenda is 140 Rodman Street LLC.
I like the idea of the ball.
You don't have to read the chain. I mean, honestly, as long as
So this, we opened a hearing, a hearing for this on November 20th, 2025. There was a small amount of testimony provided about the reason, explain this, that the structure is the applicant's summer home. It does not have heat and it can't be used in the off-season, and it's not feasible to renovate the existing guest house, so that's why the new structure will be built, and the proposed new structure will be built on the same footprint. We then continue the hearing because of the Westerly decision, but now our ordinances permit us to address this. So here we are again. So if you want to, I think you agreed to that you might want to start from scratch. Because,
Yeah, if that helps you guys.
yes, you're not the applicant, correct?
I'm representing the applicant.
Okay, then Alicia
Yeah,
will
my name is,
swear you in.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God?
yes. I do.
Please state your name and spell your last.
Charles Sonder, Sonder.
Thank you.
So the property here is 140 Rodman Street. It has two separate dwelling units. So the main house here and additional dwelling unit there. It's I think a multi-family setup. It was constructed, that was constructed in 1950, so it's been there and used.
Do you want a pointer?
Oh, that's fine.
There should be one right up there.
Oh, sure. So this here, constructed in 1950. I believe this was constructed a little bit earlier. This is where we would like to rebuild this structure because it's fallen into rough shape over the last, I guess, 75 years. And the new structure, the existing is shaded here. It has this little dog leg that pretty much touches the property line or gets very close. The new structure, we wanted to provide, a clear path on that side and come out a little bit further. Just to make up for that lost space. That's a little bathroom that hangs out. So they're gonna move the bathroom toward the rear and just gain some of that space back. The owner likes to come back here during the winter and not open up their winterized house, so they, plan on using this, which is, how they've always used it. We want to keep it looking as close to the same as we can, and the goal is to, have as little impact on the neighborhood, the look of the neighborhood as possible, as well as the site. So we want to preserve the site. Has some site features that we'd like to preserve. So this, we can't necessarily move it much closer to the house. It's already like, I think, about 6 feet away from the house. So if we shift that direction, it would get some passage to the backyard would be cut off. And there's also some trees and a yard drain in the backyard, so just trying to preserve sort of a look here. That's, I think, pretty much the backstory. I think it meets all the requirements that I've read for a variance, and if you'd like me to expand on any of that, I can, but
May I ask you a question?
sure.
So you're actually, besides the little, and on the existing, the little bathroom bump out,
Yeah.
that's not gonna be rebuilt.
Yeah,
But the same exterior wall besides that, gonna be the same
yeah.
area? It's not
Yeah.
gonna go closer or further away? Just a
It's-
little bathroom bump out?
It's gonna be, a replacement, I guess, if you look at the front of the building, it goes straight back along the property line. We're keeping that exact same front, and projecting back without the little dotted line. So, I guess technically, in my eyes, it would be less non-conforming, in that way.
Will it move that wall a little further, like very little further, but a little further from the property line? It moves it in a little further than it is now, you're gonna take that out and
Well, yeah, the part that sticks out will be
it'll
gone.
be gone.
Yeah, so, but the existing, volume, we'll try to maintain, so is this the existing? Yeah, so we'll try to maintain this line. But this.
So it'll be
that
slightly
part-
narrower but longer, so to speak?
Technically, it will be more narrow. yeah.
So
Right.
this is gone,
Yes,
this will be gone,
yes.
and this,
That's an outdoor shower.
okay. And this is the that's near the property line,
Yep.
on that side, okay.
I don't know if my math is off, but the new building seems like it's a couple of square feet smaller than the existing.
Um,
I believe it's,
It's about 5 feet,
Less.
5 feet,
Yeah.
5 square feet less, yeah.
is it-
Just a little bit? Okay.
I think maybe counting the outdoor shower as part of it, I'm not sure, it could be.
Oh, I didn't count that.
You might be right, I don't have the calculations right in front of me, but the intent was it wouldn't grow, much more.
Uh-huh.
The proposed is 468 square feet. I don't know what the original is.
I have the original at 472 square feet.
So, 4 square feet less.
So I noticed in the staff comments, it was saying that the regulations for an ADU, number one, is this an owner-occupied property? Or is this a second home, or,
It's a second home,
so does that fall into play?
it's an existing dwelling unit, so it's already, it's like a multifamily property, I guess, is how it's zoned.
Okay. I was curious on staff, is that how you guys?
The way that staff originally interpreted it was originally used as a guest house, and
It is used as a guest house.
and it
It's,
still.
they don't like rent it out, it's
It's for them, like an in-law suite or.
The purpose of the ADU is essentially especially some of the wording in there, which is 7.3, parenthetical 6, is that it can't be rented out, like they said, and stuff like that. It's essentially another smaller dwelling unit that is accessory to the principal, and that can either be used for immediate family, or could be used for, guests, but it's not being rented. So it meets the definition of an ADU.
Thank you.
I think the goal would be to preserve the current state, so however it's I think it's considered two houses on one property right now. I don't know if it has to change. I think they would prefer to not to change the way it's taxed, I guess, or how it's written in the written down wherever that is.
Any more questions? I see Jill.
I'll give her a second.
It's a one-story structure right now. And it is very close to the property line. Amanda and I were just talking about this because it has been coming up at the planning board a lot about structures, that go up really tall in a close proximity to a property line. Is the height of the structure 13 feet?
Let's say 10.75.
Sure. Mr. Son, is the intention to keep it as a one-story?
Yeah, it's gonna be one story. I'm not sure if it's labeled correctly.
I think it's 10 3/4 feet, maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Up the top, right on the top left there.
yeah. I think that's from subfloor, so it might be slightly different from grade, but,
And it's actually moving it away from the property line
Yeah.
slightly.
one part of it, yeah. Goal, yeah, it's existing now, and the goal is to try to match it as closely as possible, especially from the front.
Any use. What's the height limit on accessory dwelling unit?
18 feet now.
What is it?
18
18
feet now.
okay.
It used to be 16. It got updated in February 2nd.
Right. Any other questions? Can I have, I think I'm going to say, a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Or do I do that now, or do I do that?
Yeah.
Madam Vice Chair, if I could interject, so just a quick update about this application. The applicant did not request that we review this under the new regs. With that being said, it would behoove them to want to be reviewed or be approved by the board under the new regs, and with that being said, it would reduce the variance that they're requesting, as opposed to 8.9 feet, it would be reduced to 6.9 feet for the left side yard setback.
Are you able to make that request now?
Public hearing's open.
Would you like to make that request?
I think if it,
Sorry.
No, that's okay.
it reduces the amount of relief that we need, so I think that it would help the
Should be a good
case.
thing.
It wouldn't hurt it,
Okay.
so sure, yes.
So we will be reviewing this under the new.
As of February 2nd, 2026.
Okay.
And Madam Vice, I know we know, but for the audience out there, you may want to offer ops and props. Anyone in, yeah.
Got it, understood, yes, okay. Is there anyone? Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak in favor of the project? Hearing none. Is there anyone who wishes to speak against the project? Also hearing none. Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Could I have a motion to close the,
I'll move to close the public hearing.
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
I'd like to make a motion regarding findings of fact as it relates to project summary 140 Rodman Street LLC, tax assessors plat H, lot 65. I'll include here the findings of fact in terms of the existing conditions. Charles Sonder spoke on behalf of the applicant. The property in question has a small structure right on the property line, or right near the property line. It was built in 1950. It's fallen into disrepair. The owners would like to use it in the winter, and rather than opening up their winterized property, in doing so, they're trying to minimize the impact to the neighborhood and the site. And they've also requested to be considered under the new regs that were effective February 2nd. The relief requested is from section 6.4, the dimensional regulations, which, based on the new February 2nd regulations, would be 6.9 feet of a left side yard setback variance. Take into account here the comments that were provided by staff. I would note as well that the zoning, or the planning board rather, had 5 recommendations or conditions for consideration. I'll note those numbers 1 through 5.
Mr. Ball, is that the recommendations of the staff recommendations?
The staff, sorry,
Okay.
the staff, beg your pardon, sorry, yeah.
Great.
Right. And then also would note that in terms of the standards to be met, that the hardship from which the applicant seeks relief is due to the unique characteristics of the subject land or structure, and not the general characteristics of the surrounding area, isn't due to physical or economic disability, excepting those mentioned in RIGL there. Hardship is not the result of a prior action of the applicant. Granting of the requested variance will not alter the general character of the surrounding area or impair the intent or purpose of the zoning ordinance or the comprehensive plan of the town of Narragansett upon which it's based. Additionally, I think we have considered that it would not impact access to air, light, views, and solar access, given that the footprint and physical dimensions will be virtually identical to the existing. Doesn't impact public access to any water bodies, rivers, or streams. And then also conservation of energy and energy efficiency. Presumably, it will be more energy efficient to have this than reopening, reclosing, and re-winterizing the main property. I would just note the hardship that would be suffered by the owner if not granted amounts to more than mere inconvenience, meaning that the relief sought is minimal to a reasonable enjoyment. And the fact that the use may be more profitable or that a structure may be more valuable after the relief is granted is not grounds for relief.
Did you also want to add that with the planning board's recommendation?
Yeah, I would also include the planning board recommendations as noted in materials as well.
I think also the fact that the existing building is in disrepair is another reason for coming to the board for approval.
And
That concludes my motion.
can I have a motion to accept the findings of fact?
I'd like to make a motion to accept the findings of fact.
Second?
Sorry.
Mr. Ball made, it was his motion, you need a
So,
second.
okay,
I'd
so we need a
like to second it. I'd like to second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Pleasure, John.
Right.
Make a motion.
I would move to approve the applicant's the application, subject to the conditions that were listed here, 1 through 5. And grant the relief as requested to the left side yard setback variance.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
It's an easy
Items for next agenda? Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Until you're ready.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.